Hello, fellow Rebel Capitals. Hope you're well. So today we're going to talk about the best setups for business owners at different price points. And it's not just all about the audio, the speakers, the mic right here, the mixer. There's a lot more to it. There's something called congruency. So you not only have to have a great setup, or at least the right setup, I should say, for what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve from a standpoint of the mic, but also the environment. Does it fit what you're saying? Does it fit your YouTube channel? Because at the end of the day, we need the right setup in order to maximize the amount of leads that you're generating from these videos, and obviously to maximize on the amount of revenue that you're bringing in, regardless of whether you have an established business, a multi-$100 million business, or a brand new business that you're starting from scratch today. So Josh, you ready to dive right in, buddy?
Let's do it.
Cool. Let's see. Do I have the screen share? I do have the screen share. The first thing I'm going to do is go over to my good buddy Ken McElroy's channel. Now, Ken, we're going to start off by telling you guys what not to do. And actually, and at the end of this video, we're going to tell you what not to do as well. And in the middle, we're going to tell you kind of what to do. So it'll be like a what to do sandwich. The bread's going to be what not to do. And we're going to start with my good buddy, Kenny McElroy right here. So let's click on this video, Josh. Okay. So you guys don't, here we can just pause right here. So this is back before Josh really started working with Kenny full time. And Kenny thought that just the more money he spent on the studio, the better it would be. And the more professional he would come across to the viewers. And the more professional he came off to the viewers, then that would just generate more leads or more qualified investors for his projects, because that's at the end of the day what he's trying to do. He's trying to solicit more accredited investors for his projects. So he thought, well, I'm going to put these fancy, books in the back, and we're going to have this lighting. And over here on the right, you can see this was MC Properties. So he's got his logo, and I mean, it was a setup. And so on this, Kenny spent roughly $250,000. Is that correct, Josh?
Yeah, and so I was working with Ken full time, but he had already built the studio before. I started working with him in January of last year.
Okay.
So over a year and a half now.
So for the viewers right now who are looking at this saying, oh my gosh, George, well, there's no way that I can spend $250,000. Good. You shouldn't spend 10% of that. In fact, I would argue you shouldn't even spend 1% of that. This is total overkill. I assure you, Kenny didn't get not even one qualified lead as a result of spending $250,000 on this setup. It was all just what he thought that he needed, or it was someone, some AV guy that, he consultant or something like that said, oh yeah, you need this and this and this and this, and that's going to look really professional. And yeah, just fork over the $250,000. Regardless, this is just totally unnecessary. I don't care if you're Larry Fink at BlackRock or whatever, or Stan Druckenmiller or Warren Buffett, or I don't care if you're a billionaire. This is totally unnecessary, even if you're trying to cater to a very affluent market. So now let's just, as an example, that we'll use Kenny again. So we're going to go back to a more recent video. Which one of these videos brought in a lot of leads for accredited investors, Josh? Do you remember? Like which one in the recent last 2 months?
It's different video formats. There's two formats that bring in the most accredited investors. One is when we go to his properties and show, like, hey, we're actually at a deal. Here's why we bought it. Here's the story, which makes sense. You're just showing validity. The second is a whiteboard style video of him talking about his deals. But just a sit down video, I don't remember off the top of my head. But
okay, but here's what I'm talking about, guys. Let's look at this video from Kenny, where this was 2 days ago, and now look at the setup. So I can assure you, now this is suboptimal, but this is what, Josh, $0 maybe?
Yeah, this is in his Idaho vacation home when he's going straight from recording videos to his boat to just go sip martinis for the rest of the day.
must be rough being Kenny. But my point here is the style or the type of videos Kenny is doing, spending $0 like this or 250,000, you're not going to get that much of a difference. Now, I will say if he would spend 1,000, then he's going to see a good increase above and beyond this. But from 1,000 to 250 is zero increase. All you're doing is just flushing money down the toilet, or it's just like a vanity thing because you want to look cool or something. But for most business owners, you don't really care about that. Obviously, you just care about the bottom line. So I wanted to use these two setups just to juxtapose against one another so you could see that Kenny is doing great with just videos like this, and or maybe almost as good as he was with a $250,000 setup. And if you're at the beach house or your vacation house and you want to do content, don't be afraid to go ahead and do a video where you don't really have a backdrop and all you have is maybe a little mic that you brought with you and a light. For the right type of channel, this is fine. You might not want to do every single video like this, but to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 when you're on vacation, if you still want to do content, it's not going to destroy your channel. People aren't going to unsubscribe. You're not going to look unprofessional. Just forget those roadblocks that don't exist. Josh, anything to add?
No.
Okay, so the next thing I want to do is go over to my channel. Actually, let's go to the studio here. That's the channel. Let's go to the studio, and we're going to look at this setup because Josh was talking about how whiteboard setups work well. So let's just go to the last video I did. I posted a couple days ago. It's got 145,000 views. And you can see just going back over the last couple months here, we've got 145,000 views, 306,000, 142,000, all the way down right here, 481,000. So this is a lot of views. It is the point here. But let's look at the setup. So what did I spend on this? Whiteboard was maybe $100, something like that, because it's up on a stand. And I had to put, I'm tall, so I had to put like, kind of like these things.
Like styrofoams.
Yeah, that like prop it up from the bottom to get it higher. That was maybe $20. I've got a camera here. It's like a 4K camera that's really good. So that was probably at least $2 or $3 grand. So let's say $3 grand there. Let's say we're in it now for 3,250. And then I've got that mic. Let's see if you guys can, right here. That is a Rode mic. Let me show you. It's this setup right here where you put the receiver on the camera itself. Josh, can you see this?
Yep.
And then you put the this thing down in your pocket, or some people put on their hat or something like that. But I like just the old school kind of wire that goes through and you clip it. And by the way, this thing broke, or this thing fell off and I lost it. See that, Josh?
Yeah.
You know what that is?
I'm not sure what that is.
See the green thing?
Yeah, I can.
That's a sponge. So instead of buying a brand new one, I just went down to the grocery store and I bought a sponge, and I just like cut out a piece of the sponge and just glued it on the top of the mic because I was too cheap to go buy one. So there you go, right? That just tells you that you can improvise and get things that are just as good. So this is a Rode wireless ME, and this is fantastic. This is all you need if you're going to do like a whiteboard type of video. And Rode is a great company. It's made in Australia, but you can just get this right on Amazon. This was probably, what was it? Maybe $200. So maybe not even that. But this is ideal for like the whiteboard videos where you actually need a lav, and it's not like a talking head video with a mic like this that we're going to get into in just a moment. So that's oh, and then I've got some.
Your cameras or your lights.
Yeah, we've got some lights in there. So let me just show you kind of what I'm referring to. I'm using my computer, so just bear with me, guys. I'm gonna spin this around. So what's the best way? So first and foremost, you can see my high level audio setup here. That's a bed mattress. I bought that at probably a secondhand store for maybe I don't know, $100 or something like that. But I just used the bed mattresses and they work fantastically well. And then we'll keep trying to spin around. Hopefully, I won't ruin something. Josh, let me know when you can see the lights.
I can see the lights.
Okay, so I've got 3 of those lights.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just some Chinese lights that I bought at a camera store in, I think it was Phoenix, for like maybe $50 each, maybe $50 each. And I used the same, not the exact same lights, but the same, same cheap Chinese stuff. I used 3 of them in that whiteboard room. So, and then I've got a couple carpets down. So figure we're with the lights, Josh, we're at 3,500. So probably just $4,000 to be safe. So if you want to do a whiteboard types of videos, if that's what's fits your style of content and your channel the best, and we're going to get into making sure that it's congruent in a moment. That's really, really important. But if that's the direction that you want to go, you can get that whole setup and do whiteboard videos just like I'm doing, that, keep in mind, are getting 100,000, 200, 400, 500,000 views per video, meaning that you don't need a better setup than that. You can do that for $3 or $4,000. Now, as far as the 4K camera, Josh, do you have any insights on the? I forgot to discuss that. I know I have a Sony. It's like a Sony.
Well, what I can do is you can figure it out, and I'll put it in the description for what you have.
Okay, good. Let's do that so we don't waste any time. So it's just, again, it's the 4K. Oh, one thing I forgot was the tripod. So you got to have the camera, the tripod. You've got to have the bed mattresses in there, the whiteboard, the lighting, and all of that's going to be, let's just call it 3,500, 4,000. Now, moving on to, let's go to the free setup, because
that's what I have going right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And so right now I'm at my buddy Luke, who he has a Bitcoin channel where he does about 1 million views per month. I'm at his home studio right now, and let me show you. He has a camera. I'm actually not using it right now. I'm using my laptop, but here he has a mic and a camera. But all I have is,
and he's got a couple lights in the back, just as like mood lighting or something.
But you don't actually need that at all. All I was using when I was in Colombia recording was just my camera. I didn't even have a mic, which I do have on right now. I just put mattresses right between and right behind my laptop, which made the audio a little bit better. And then I just used my natural background and had some natural light, and it was 100% $0.
Yeah, but you don't get any views. So
no, it was with it was on this channel. But so what really matters is the congruency. And so
what I want to do though, here, let me do this while you're talking. Let me go to Luke's channel. You don't have to do a screen share yet, but let me go to Luke's channel. Well, what's his channel name? Because I want to show these people what it looks like when he actually has a produced video with that very basic setup right there.
It's Luke, MICIC.
So here's Luke's channel. Wow, he's got a video here that did 121,000 a month ago. Good for Luke.
Yeah, I was just looking at his back end. This month he got 1 million views.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and so, geez, while your laptop is tweaking out for some reason, or your YouTube.
Yeah. Well, that's in a different room, but it's kind of
so the big thing is
what Luke does is just this mood lighting stuff. That's kind of his shtick. So let's pull this video up.
First off, that's a good visual hook right there, Luke. Good job on you.
Okay, so look at what Luke is doing here. Is that like a Bitcoin light?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah,
okay.
That's like a Bitcoin logo.
Okay, so he probably travels with this like in his bag, and then he just he tries to make the room as dark as possible, and then he just does a couple little things here to backlight the shot and give it a little mood. Then he's got a couple Bitcoin magazines that he shines the light on, And then it's just, he's basically got that little camera and then a light behind it, and then his laptop. And so this whole setup right here, I mean, now we're talking about what, $500, Josh? Something like
Yeah,
that?
all in 500 max, but then the
Mhm.
camera is what's expensive most of the time. But I bet Luke's camera is only $1,500 with the lens.
And quite frankly, I don't, well, in order to get this shot, he would need a camera, because you see how his face is in focus and the background is more out of focus. You can't do that with a camera like I'm using right here on my laptop. You need a pretty good camera. I forgot what that's called, but you need a pretty good camera in order to do that. So let's say Luke has spent, $2,000 here, and he gets this setup, which, by the way, is totally portable, because Luke sets this up basically in any Airbnb where he is anywhere in the world, and it works. It works really well. So let's go into that. Why does this work? It works because he's got a Bitcoin channel, and he's a young guy talking about Bitcoin. So if you click on a video about Bitcoin and you see this backdrop, you're like, okay, that, young guy talking about Bitcoin, he's got some Bitcoin magazines. This makes sense. It's a talking head video. There's congruency there. There's congruency. So what we have to do when you're setting things up for your own business is you've got two things to worry about, and you have to compartmentalize the two. Number one is, what should my setup be in terms of my AV equipment, my lights, my the audio, picking up the echo and doing these things. That's one thing that you've got to worry about. But the other thing that you have to worry about in the other bucket is to make sure that the shot itself, the backdrop and everything, is congruent with the message and with the niche and with your style of videos. So let me show you what not to do here. But then to be clear, this is fine. This is totally adequate. But even if Luke didn't have this, even if you just had Josh's setup, let's go back to that. The Josh's setup right now, for most not all videos, but for most videos, like doing an interview or something like that, this would be totally adequate, especially if your topic was what we're discussing, how to generate leads for your business or how to leverage content creation. Now, if you're doing a video on how to pour steep driveways, as an example, Josh's setup probably wouldn't be optimal. Now, not from a standpoint of his mic or his lighting, but more so he's in a room that kind of looks like a girl's room. It looks like a 6-year-old girl's room. So if I'm talking to a concrete guy or listening to a concrete guy give his wisdom on how to pour a driveway, that's not congruent. It's just kind of weird. Where if that concrete guy was out on the job, as an example, explaining everything that's going into pouring that driveway as the bulldozer, the cement truck pulls up, and that's far more congruent. But for that, you would just need your cell phone, really. I mean, if you got a mic to the cell phone, that would be even better. But even if you just have a cell phone and you're just doing like a selfie shot, that's totally, totally fine. So as an example of that, let's go over to here. So Josh, can you see this?
Yes.
So here we go. So this gal, I mean, she has the option there. Like, imagine this video. See how she's starting? So it's starting off by, okay, it's how we fixed our steep driveway. So this is Colorado Mountain Living. And I'm guessing that they have some sort of business where they do this for you or something like that. But even if they, you could replace this with a concrete company, a window siding company, whatever. And they start off with this shot, but then they go to the gal talking. Now look at where the gal's talking. Imagine if she was talking where Josh is talking right now. So that would be incongruent based on the video. That's what I'm talking about. And I would argue that congruency is almost more important than your setup, like with your mic and your mixer and your lights and everything else, especially for these types of videos. And right here, she could be shooting this. I mean, obviously, she's not shooting it herself, but someone could just be filming her with an iPhone, and this would be totally fine. Totally fine. You wouldn't need anything outside of that. Josh, anything
Yeah,
to
and
add?
so Yeah, some proof of that is a video that we did with Ken, who it was titled "What It's Like Having FU Money," which is a topic that's obviously pretty broad in a lot of movies. If he did that in my background, do you think people would care about it?
Right. Right.
Probably not. We did it on his private jet, which is he doesn't have to say anything
Meaning,
about how much
well,
money he
you
has.
said would people care about it? Meaning that would be completely incongruent.
Yeah,
So
if I was making videos here, how much money and you could make following my advice, would anyone listen to me? Probably not, because there's no proof in the pudding. Even if I
yeah,
showed you receipts, you're less receptive. And so the background correlates with your messages, which proves the point that you're trying to make.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, I know we're jumping around here a lot, but hopefully you guys are just kind of taking notes here, because the next thing that I wanted to talk about was this setup that I have, because I think a lot of people are kind of wondering about that if they wanted to do like talking head videos. And so with this background that I have, that was actually built. It's super cheap. Like this is, I don't know if you can see that, but I can like move it. You wouldn't want to stand on that, I can assure you. This setup cost me maybe 500 bucks, if that, for the carpenters just to come in. And this is all, that's not even real wood. It's like that particle board laminate stuff that kind of looks like wood. And then they just put in these LED lights to make it look good. And I just put in a super old computer just to kind of promote Rebel Capitals Pro. And then just a bunch of books that I already had and a couple little, like that thing I just got at like Home Center, which is the Colombian equivalent of Home Depot. And this thing I kind of got at Home Center. And that's a piece of rock that a gold mine guy gave me that's got probably 2 or 3 ounces of gold in it. But I thought that was cool. So I put it up there. Just, little trinket stuff. This is a book that Larry Lepard just gave me when I was speaking at Limitless with him. He gave me his personal note right there, which is really nice of him, and a book, but just stuff like that. So this was maybe, call it $500-600 in total. And then I've got this mic. So when you're doing talking head videos, the audio is important. You don't want to, you can get away with decent audio, but you can't get away with really shitty audio. But if you want it to be as professional as you need it to be, just one of these directional mics is fantastic. And this is just a Shure. And a lot of podcasters use this. And the only thing with this mic is you have to have a mixer. And I would suggest a Rode mixer. But Josh, they're coming out with mixers now that are like super small. Like mine, you can't, well, I can just do this here. There's mine right there. But you don't even need that one. That one was maybe, I don't know, 300 or 400 bucks or something. And I don't know what is this mic, Josh? Do you know how much this mic is?
A few $100.
Yeah. So the total between the two is maybe 500, let's say.
The one I have on, I think, is under 100. It's just this is plugged into my laptop, connects instantly. Super easy.
Yeah. So, but if you were doing professional talking head videos like this, you would want to invest in a directional mic, is what they call this, a directional mic. And the mic and the mixer, and you need the mixer to work with this type of mic, is like 500 bucks. Now, for those of you who aren't really technically savvy like me, don't worry about it. This is like the easiest thing you could possibly imagine. There's no like assembly or anything like this. All you do is literally just plug in this mic to the mixer, and then you plug the mixer into like the USB port in your computer, and like you're done. That's pretty much it. So don't think that you need some technical expertise to have great sounding audio just like this. And another thing that's great about these directional mics and why they're so popular with talking head videos is because I could have someone with a jackhammer in the next room, and as long as they're like 20 feet, you're never going to hear it. It's unbelievable. It only picks up sound. Like, let me show you. Like, I'll go from this to where you can hear me well, and I'll just go back here. Now I'm talking at the exact same level, but it's probably, Josh, is it?
Yeah, it's like 1/10, if that, of the volume.
Yeah. And that's what's so great about a directional mic, is it just picks up what's right around here. And that's exactly what you want it to do, because it's going to pick up far less echo and all these other things. So that's another kind of insider secret. If you spend the money on a directional mic and a mixer, you actually have to spend a lot less on like soundproofing and all those other things. So let me show you. I showed you this mattress. before. Now, let's say that we're at 100% sound quality right now. If I took away that mattress, we might go down to 98. I mean, you'd barely be able to tell. And why? Because this directional mic. So if I was really limited on a budget, that's probably where I would spend the money. If I was doing talking head videos, if that's what was congruent for my audience and for what I was doing, I would spend the money on the mic and the mixer first and foremost. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, audio is way more important. We're both just using our camera
Yeah,
for the visuals
on the
right now.
computer,
That
on the
matters way
computer.
more. And then the only thing is the congruency. Just understand what your niche is and what you would want to watch if they were watching a video about you, and then just have the background match whatever it is that you're talking about.
Yeah, or not just the background, but the type of video. So like you said, if his only objective with every single video was to just get investors, then every single one of his videos would probably be either a whiteboard or out on the job or out on
And
the
he would just be
project or whatever.
breaking down what he's already done
Yeah,
because he has so much experience. And if you have a business, you have tons of experience. So you can just make videos about the things that you have done. And
yeah.
then people want to be a part of it. It's
Where
it's an
and then
easy sell.
compare, right, but then you compare that to, like, Rebel Capitalist videos, where I'm just talking about the daily news and what's going on CNBC or the non-farm payrolls or something like that. Then the talking head video is gonna be probably more relevant than maybe even a whiteboard video, because I'm not explaining things in that great detail. I'm just kind of riffing on what's happening in the news. So now let's go over to my channel again, and we're going to give another example. This is the sandwich that I was talking about of what not to do, and videos that are not just incongruent, but wildly incongruent. Let's see. So let's go to the first whiteboard videos that I did, and we'll learn a lot of lessons here. You ready, Josh?
I'm ready. Wow.
So this is incongruency, where not only does it look like I'm in some sort of bizarre jungle and I'm doing a whiteboard in a bizarre rainforest, but on top of that, I'm wearing a sport jacket and a Dolce Gabbana dress shirt. So, Josh, have you ever seen a video that was more incongruent than this? And look at the title.
Millionaire explains everything you need to know. House hacking.
That's awesome.
And so the type of video too. If I was making a video on house hacking, you want to be in a house showing people what
Yeah.
not to do. You don't want to do a whiteboard video because of the topic and the style that you're already talking about.
But there's two lessons here, Josh. The first lesson is don't do this because it's just wildly incongruent. But there's another lesson in that it's better to start even if it is incongruent. That you have no reason not to start. None. Even if it's incongruent, even if you don't have the right setup, you don't have the right equipment, there is no reason not to start, because you're just going to get better. And by the way, this has 32,000 views. Don't let that fool you. That's because everyone has gone back over time and watched my old videos. When I uploaded this, after a week, it might have had 20 views. So, something like that, maybe 20, 30 views. So, and it probably didn't even deserve that many views, to be quite frank. But the good news is I was getting practice. And the reason I did this, by the way, is because we didn't have a stand and I was in Colombia, and it was like, we got to wait for Amazon. We got to wait for these things. And I'm like, screw it. I don't want to wait 2 weeks for a stand. Let's just do something. And the only ledge that I had to support the whiteboard that was at a decent height in my apartment was where the jacuzzi was. So this is literally in the area that has the jacuzzi. And these are fake plants that go on this ledge where you put your beer or whatever, and the jacuzzi is like right where the camera is, basically. So those are the two lessons. Is number one, this is wildly incongruent. It's a great example of what not to do, but it's also a great example of what to do, and that is just start. I've always watched a lot of YouTubers that give advice and whatnot. And this one guy had a great saying. He's like, just punch perfection in the face. And that's a great saying. Like it's never, ever, ever going to be perfect. You can always make some excuse as to why you shouldn't start. And look, think of all the excuses I had not to start. I mean, this is horrible. This is, and I knew it was going to be terrible. I knew it. I absolutely knew it. And I did it anyway, just because I wanted to start. I wanted to get the ball rolling. I wanted to practice. And I just wanted to throw things up against a wall to see what would stick, even while I was waiting for the better equipment and the stand and all these things. So, Josh, anything to add?
I mean, that's true with everything in life. Just starting is the most important part.
You got to take the first step. The first step gets you one step closer to your destination.
And what's even better, more beneficial, is no one's going to watch your videos when you start anyway. So you have nothing to worry about.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. All right. So Josh will go ahead and put the gear, I guess if you want to call it that, we'll put links in the description below. But the number one thing is start. Number two is kind of think about that congruency and what fits with the message that you're trying to deliver, or your business, or whatever niche you're in, or the style of videos. And then you first and foremost want to prioritize the audio. That's for sure. But you don't have to spend a ton of money. Do not do what Kenny did and just drop 250 grand just because you think it's going to get you more views. It won't. It won't. The maximum you should spend is maybe what, Josh, 4 grand, something like that.
And 95% of that is just on audio and visual.
Yeah, and lighting and whatnot. But and that's just if a whiteboard video, because you got to get that expensive camera. Like this setup right here, I guess we didn't go through the math, but let's just say $500 behind me. We've got the mic, the mixer at 500, so 1,000, and then I just use my laptop camera. So I've got to stand a chair, call it another 1,250. Some lighting. I mean, $1,500. I think I'm just trying to look around here. Yeah. So this setup that I've done with the Rebel Capitalist channel, and I've done all my interviews. I mean, we're talking about literally 70, 75 million views I've done with a setup just like this that costs maybe $1,500, something like that. So those are really the main takeaways. Number one, start. Number two, congruency. Number three, the setup. Fine, but don't spend over 4 grand. And even with a normal setup like this, if it's just a talking head video, 1,500 is adequate. And prioritize audio, then prioritize lighting, and then finally, if you got the money, go ahead and buy a decent camera. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. As always, make sure you're standing up for freedom, liberty, free market capitalism. Oh, by the way, we went ahead and set up that free school community for Rebel Capitalist Business Accelerator. I almost forgot about that, Josh. So if you want to join this free community where you can post things that you're doing, questions, and Josh and I will be in there periodically and just try to answer those questions to the best of our ability. Or if you want to throw up thumbnail ideas, just whatever you want to do, you can go over to the school platform. That's SKOOL, and you can join the Rebel Capitalist Business Accelerator community. And we will put a link for that in the description below as well.